Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, Mike Lindell sent me a note yesterday. He has a special for the 6-piece towel set, $25 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. You'll get the $25 offer on the 6-piece towel set, and I promise you, these will be the most comfortable, the most absorbent towels that you own. mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. Get the 6-piece towel set for just $25. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio to lose weight for the last time. Visit myphdweightloss.com. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer apologized for a social media video in which she wore a Harris-Walz campaign hat and fed Doritos to a kneeling podcast host in what some critics said made a mockery of the Catholic Church and serving communion. This gets more bizarre every day. A Washington Post columnist warns abortion isn't the top issue in Michigan and that this could mean bad news for Democrats. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris want you to think that they're the average gun-owning Americans, even though we know Kamala Harris wants to take our guns and will do so if given the chance. So does it surprise you that less than a month away from Election Day, that Governor Walz decides to go hunting? The problem? Walz is mocked after being caught on a video struggling to load his own shotgun. We have the details for you on that as well. We have the latest update for you, too, on Hurricane Helene. More than 90 reported dead in North Carolina, and authorities still cannot confirm how many are missing. As we get closer to Election Day, you're going to see more and more campaign signs in yards and on the side of the roads. Can that campaign sign actually be there? Here's what South Carolina law says and doesn't say about campaign material.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills, but I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
The White House over the weekend released medical records for Vice President Kamala Harris, describing her as having, quote, the physical and mental resiliency required to successfully execute the duties of the presidency. Now, I would automatically challenge the premise that she has the mental resiliency. The vice president is 59. The White House, in releasing the report, says is in excellent health. Her physician, Army Colonel Joshua Simmons, noted that she has a few minor health conditions like seasonal allergies and mild nearsightedness. The vice president has a family history of colon cancer, from which her mother died in 2009. She's only ever had surgery once when she was 3 years old to remove her appendix, according to the White House physician. They go on to say Harris maintains a healthy, active lifestyle, including vigorous daily aerobic exercise and core strength training. She has a very healthy diet, does not use tobacco, and drinks only occasionally and in moderation, he wrote. The release of Harris's medical records, of course, is a challenge to President Donald Trump, who has been historically reluctant to release his health reports. Trump told CBS News in August that he would very gladly make his medical records public. Campaign spokesperson Stephen Chung said that the 78-year-old has voluntarily released updates from his personal physician, GOP Representative Ronnie Jackson of Texas, and added that the reports have concluded he is in perfect and excellent health. Chung pointed to 3 recent medical statements, one from November of 2023, 2 from July of 2024, that gave vague but favorable reviews of Trump's health, according to some of the media, of course, the mainstream media, who are digging into this. So this is the latest challenge. Harris releases her medical records. Now everyone in the mainstream media is rushing around, scurrying around, saying, okay, Trump, your turn. Now, we know that Trump took a cognitive test a few years ago, challenged Joe Biden to do likewise, in which Joe Biden never has done. Or let me back up. Maybe Joe Biden has had a cognitive test. He's never released results of the cognitive test because we all know that he probably failed miserably. If you look back in 2015 when Trump was running against Hillary Clinton, back then, according to, I think this was the Washington Post, he vowed to release his full medical report after his opponent published her own. However, the Post points out he released a letter from his personal physician months later who praised his extraordinary health and claimed he would be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency. Some say that's not enough. Some want to see more of the details. In June 2020, when running against President Joe Biden, the Trump administration released his annual physical, which was based on examinations between November 2019 and April 2020. It stated that there was no interval change to his medical history and that he remains healthy. Biden released his medical records in December 2019. The mainstream media concerned that Trump's hasn't been updated recently. And Kamala Harris, of course, this timing is perfect for her because she's wanting to try to draw that line, to draw the contrast between her being 59 years old and Donald Trump being 78. Of course, she wants to make age the issue. Now, back when Joe Biden was the nominee, they didn't want to talk about age. They didn't want to talk about health. Now that they have a younger candidate on the ticket, they're interested in talking about age and health. Meanwhile, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's running mate, was the subject of social media scorn after he was caught on video struggling to load his shotgun during a pheasant hunt. Now, what do you think the odds are that this guy goes out hunting pheasant right in the middle of a hotly contested national campaign? Do you think he really wanted to go hunting? Or, of course, was this not a political statement? Or they tried to make it a political statement. It kind of backfired. Country singer John Rich said in a response to the video, Tim Walz claimed he carried weapons of war in combat, but he can't load a shotgun. This guy's beyond weak. My little sister could beat him up. You got to watch this. and it is kind of funny. I mean, I think he should have practiced loading his shotgun a few times before he went out on the hunt. The comments, of course, after Walz took to the field for Minnesota's opening day of pheasant hunting, with Walz inviting members of the press to document the occasion. But the Minnesota governor's struggles loading his shotgun was what caught the eye of most social media users. Buck Sexton said in response to the video, Tim Walz looks as comfortable loading a shotgun as Kamala does answering basic questions. The Harris campaign has leaned heavily, of course, into Walz's Midwestern roots. They want to make him just like a regular guy. You know, he's a school teacher, football coach, turned governor. Just that simple. He likes to hunt. I mean, they're trying to make us believe that because they have a guy from the Midwest who claims he's a hunter, although you see this video, you got to question whether or not you'd want to go hunting with him. Kind of like who was it that Dick Cheney shot while hunting in Texas? Remember that? Those hunting skills, of course, called into question after this video. CBS News reported that the Minnesota governor did not get a single shot off. Conservative commentator John Cordillo commented, Tim Walz claims that he's a lifelong bird hunter, but this clearly proves he has no idea how to load or charge a semi-automatic shotgun. I shoot a lot of sporting clays with both semi-autos, but mostly over-unders. He's a first-timer right there. And, you know, that's a good point. I don't know for sure whether or not Tim Walz has actually ever been pheasant hunting, but if you see this video, and it's easy to find, just search Tim Walz hunts. If you see the video, it really does make you question as to whether or not the guy has ever really had a shotgun in his hands. Jason Robertson alluded to the accusations of stolen valor, saying, after watching Tim Walz trying to handle a shotgun, I officially retract my criticism from him avoiding combat zones. He is a hero. He is so bad with a weapon that he saved American lives skipping the war zone. Oh, boy, I tell you, these politicians who come up with these idiotic ways for the media to follow them around, to try to make them look just like an average Joe, or in this case, an average hunter. and they fail so miserably that it's just hilarious. James Herson quipped, "Tim Walz looks like someone who has never loaded a shotgun." The video even drew comparisons to classic Looney Tunes character Elmer Fudd, of course, who struggled with his own shotgun in his fictional pursuit of Bugs Bunny. You know, that's right. Tim Walz looked like Elmer Fudd trying to track down Bugs Bunny. And I'll have to say, Bugs Bunny, you're not in any harm. You're not in harm's way if this is all you have to worry about. Hey, we're going to have an update for you in a few minutes with the latest on Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. Let me remind you that you can continue to help the survivors of Hurricane Helene in the Carolinas. Odyssey, South Carolina's family of radio stations has partnered with the Salvation Army to provide urgent disaster relief across the Carolinas. Donate today at rebuildcarolinas.org. Your gift will help provide emergency aid like food, water, hygiene kits, long-term recovery support to the hardest hit communities. And here's the best part. 100% of your gift goes directly to disaster relief with no administrative fees. Again, that's rebuildcarolinas.org. This year, I really thought I was going to have to boycott the holidays. I was going to lock myself away and not come out until 2025. But after finding PhD Weight Loss, you can bet I'll be at every holiday party I'm invited to. That's because PhD Weight Loss helped me take control with great confidence, support, and my new healthy body. The best part? PhD Weight Loss did it all without harmful drugs that keep you dependent on them to maintain your weight loss. It's a natural, medication-free approach to weight loss crafted to naturally diminish food-related thoughts, hunger, and cravings, making your weight loss journey more sustainable and enjoyable. Take it from me, I lost 33 pounds. The PhD Weight Loss Program teaches you not just what to eat and when, but also how to think differently about food and finally let go of those cravings and get rid of the hunger naturally. Don't lock yourself away this holiday season. Call PhD Weight Loss today at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. The 2024 presidential election is really becoming real now as two of our neighboring states start early voting this week. Early voting starting in Georgia begins tomorrow. Early voting, you must be registered to vote, obviously. People can vote at any polling location during early voting. All Georgia counties offer early voting on at least 2 Saturdays between now and November the 5th as well. According to data, more than 3.4 million of Georgia's 7.6 million registered voters voted early in 2020 general election, and all the indicators seem to point towards even more voting early this year. If you're listening in Georgia, plan to go to your poll tomorrow if you can, but certainly in the next few weeks. Poll hours will vary depending on the county you live in. It's recommended that you just reach out to your county voter registration office or go to the search on a website, do a quick Google search to find out your particular county's time. Also in western North Carolina, of course, a lot of questions about polling in some of the devastated areas there as Hurricane Helene damaged many of the polling places. Some of them just wiped them out completely. Early voting starts there on Thursday, this Thursday. All the voting sites were told that all polls will be open, just some relocated in western North Carolina. Of the 80 locations originally planned in those counties, we're told after election officials gathered last week to talk about how they could pull this off, about 75 will actually be open in that western North Carolina area. So that's pretty good. Only 5 right now that won't be, and those are going to be combined. So you'll still be able to vote. State election officials talked with reporters after the General Assembly last week approved some variations on what can be done and what can't be done just in those 25 counties that there is a declared emergency. So again, if you live in western North Carolina, which we have a lot of listeners in that area, then just contact who your local county election office if you have any questions. There's a lot of places that it's posted online as well. Email me, I'll help you. Just email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. If you can't find it, I'll find it for you and send it to you. President Donald Trump was on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo yesterday. When asked how he thinks the campaign's going, here's his response.
So how are you feeling? We're just a few weeks away, 20 plus days away from the election. How do you feel about the race?
I feel great. We're leading in all swing states. We're leading mostly in nationals, I think. I'm a believer in polls. Some of them are fake, like a lot of writers. But I'm a believer in polls, and we're leading in just about every swing state. I think we're leading now in every swing state. And she can't talk. There's something wrong with the candidate. But I'll take it. But we have, I think we're doing very well, yeah.
What do you want to say to those voters out there who might be undecided, who don't know what they're going to do yet?
Well, I think we're going to have a lot of votes. We have something sort of special going on. We have tremendous support. They're so tired of seeing what's happened to this country. They're so tired of seeing the incompetence, seeing the border. And I think the border is maybe a bigger deal than even inflation. Inflation is a massive word. The bad economy is massive. The inflation made the economy bad. It made it impossible for people. But I almost think that when they see millions of people coming into our country, 13,099 murderers, many of them murdered more than one person. When they see that, I actually think I think the border is a bigger issue than even the economy.
Well, I think he's right to a degree. The border is a big issue, and it consistently comes in either first or second. I really believe the economy probably is going to be the number one issue. But here's something that the Democrats did not want to hear. A Washington Post columnist sounded the alarm about a Michigan congressional district there that polling indicates the Democratic Party's grasp there is loosening because local voters aren't as animated and aren't as interested in the abortion issue as they used to be. And that's an issue that the Democrats have been trying to drive a wedge, particularly among independents. The Washington Post's James Holman wrote this week that he spoke to Democrat operatives on the ground in Michigan, one of the battleground states, a state that Trump believes he can win, says that those in Michigan are less enthusiastic for one of the party's top issues in that area, abortion. And it's making him wonder if, in fact, maybe abortion is not going to be the issue the Democrats think it's going to be. Hallman noted that in the 7th Congressional District of Michigan, which includes the state capital Lansing, suburban areas near Detroit, went for former President Donald Trump in the 2016 election, but elected Representative Elisa Slotkin, a Democrat. In 2022, he is now seeking the state's open U.S. Senate seat. Now, fellow Democrat and aide to Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Curtis Hurdle, is running against Republican Tom Barrett to fill Slotkin's congressional seat, which is now open since she's running for the Senate. Barrett is a former U.S. Army member, a pro-lifer, lost to Slotkin in 2022, but Hurdle's team may not find him as easy to beat as Slotkin did if, in fact, this is correct, that voters aren't thinking about abortion as much as the Democrats believe. The columnist said that in the midst of this close race, Hurdle surrogates are finding that voters aren't responding to abortion as much as they used to, which, of course, could be big problems for the party at large. The Washington Post columnist wrote, but after Hurdle delivered a pep talk to 16 volunteers at a party field office on a recent Saturday afternoon, State Representative Jennifer Conlon, a Democrat, told the group that she had just returned from knocking on doors and expressed amazement at how much less abortion comes up than when she won 2 years ago in the aftermath of Dobbs. He wrote, that's largely because many Michiganders feel a woman's right to choose was guaranteed after voters overwhelmingly passed a state ballot referendum in 2022 to enshrine a right to the procedure in the state constitution. He said, apparently the issue being less of a priority for some voters is making it harder for Democrats to appeal to the multitudes of center-right women who crossed over to vote for Slotkin, Whitmer, and the abortion initiative in 2022. This could be a big problem for Democrats in Michigan. Hope you'll join the conversation today. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. You can leave a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you could trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Continuing today's show, glad to have you join me. It's going to be interesting to see just what effect, if any, the two major hurricanes that our country has experienced in the southeast, Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton, what effect that could potentially have on this upcoming election. President Donald Trump was on Sunday Morning Futures yesterday with Maria Bartiromo and said that the Biden administration has done a horrible job responding to the recent hurricanes. Of course, there's been this drama between Kamala Harris and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Harris trying to inject herself, trying to play the role of a leader, that she's going down to Florida to help the people of Florida, when Ron DeSantis is saying, no, stay away. We don't need your help here. Won't even take her calls. Of course, she's wanting to look like she is playing a major role in this recovery process. She hasn't done too well in Western North Carolina either, after promising the $750 for people from FEMA, and people in Western North Carolina, all the reports we're getting, people are having trouble getting approved for that. So what role will that have? Trump very adamant that the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, have been total failures.
And the other issue that's really big, I think, is how badly they've done with North Carolina, parts of Georgia. When you look at what's happened, and Florida, we'll see what's happening there. I think we got a little bit lucky in the sense that it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as they thought. And a lot of governors have done a good job, but the response from the White House has been absolutely terrible. Her response has been terrible, so bad that they didn't even want. I see Ron didn't want her in Florida, said, just don't even come here.
Well, Governor DeSantis doesn't want her there because he knows she doesn't really care about people in Florida. She doesn't care about people in North Carolina or South Carolina or Georgia. What she cares about is winning this election. So she comes down, flies around in a helicopter, and then leaves and goes back out on the campaign trail. Again, it's all looks. It's all about how she is perceived. Well, I don't think the voters in these states that are affected, I don't think they're buying it. Albert writes on the text line, so many people outside of the areas affected by Helene think that FEMA and the federal government has come into our areas bringing cleanup crews and supplies. I haven't seen either in my area. If it weren't for my neighbors with chainsaws and equipment, local county crews, and the power company crews, we would still be completely shut in. I have family in South Georgia who told me that FEMA representatives finally showed up, made promises, and disappeared. Their office is unmanned. I'm thankful for neighbors who come together and support one another when times get tough. Thank you, Albert. Appreciate your text. And that's the story that we're hearing over and over. That's the story that is being documented on news agencies. That's the story we're hearing about on social media, of people. I watched a video over the weekend of a young man. I think his name was Mark Hendricks. Don't know who he is, other than he identifies as a content creator. And we've been hearing a lot of stories, particularly from Chimney Rock, North Carolina, that property is being seized by using eminent domain, that there are literally piles of bodies that have washed up. So this young man documented going into Chimney Rock, and he had to hike part of the way. And so you can watch the video for yourself. He gets close to Chimney Rock, and he talks with police officers there. You can see the skid steers and the tractors. They're cleaning up just mud and debris, pushing them away from the main street, what's left of it. But his biggest takeaway is this. And he interviewed several people who live there, and he interviewed some of the authorities. And every one of them said, look, some of the stories that are coming out of here are not totally accurate. We do not have piles of dead bodies washing up. That's not happening. The smell is not bad, other than the smell of, one guy pointed out, that just the mud and the muck itself. But you know, that's been one of the rumors, is that you can't stand it because of the smell of dead bodies. The only thing that he showed, and he didn't show it, he blurted out, was a dead horse that had washed up. So, you know, people, we got to get the right information out there. We got to get to the truth. Authorities in North Carolina yesterday confirmed that there are, in fact, 93 storm-related fatalities from Hurricane Helene. But here's the thing. They still cannot account for the number of those who remain missing or unaccounted for. And that's part of what's fueling this rumor that there are morgues up there full of bodies that haven't been identified. Again, I can't confirm that there are actually morgues full of bodies. I can't confirm that one way or the other. This young man seemed to suggest that's not the truth. And some of the police officers and authorities that he encountered say that's not the truth. But they did admit at this news conference yesterday, they don't know. They don't know how many people are missing. They don't know how many people may have washed away and whose bodies may be out there now, because I think we're 2 weeks away from when the storm hit our area. This is not a recovery anymore. This is an instance of just trying to now locate bodies, identify bodies, if they're out there, find these people who are unaccounted for, and have closure for families. The vast majorities, according to officials, were reported in Buncombe County. That's around the Asheville, North Carolina area. 42 deaths there, followed by Yancey County and Henderson at 12 and 7 respectively. And again, Yancey County, Henderson County, right there in that western North Carolina area, closest to Buncombe. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, their chief medical examiner, said that there are no missing persons numbers at this time because there are different sources of where missing persons and welfare checks requests were reported during the storm. The North Carolina Department of Public Safety told Fox News that efforts are underway to accumulate those numbers so that they can give a report. Workers, community members, business owners, they're all working together to clean up the debris to make it at least passable, but to also start focusing on talking with these people, reaching people who are still cut off from communications, and there's still many of those as well, because there's still a large number of people without power, a large number of people who do not have internet, and that's like Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright got real frustrated last week, and that video has gone viral where he says, when FEMA says, well, go on the app and report it, his point is, well, you can't go on the app if you don't have internet. You can't go on the app if you don't have cell phone service. So how are you supposed to contact FEMA? Justin Graney is Chief of External Affairs and Communications for the North Carolina Emergency Management, told Fox News that there are wide area searches taking place since the storm cleared out and people have been able to get out there. He said this includes grid searches, vehicle searches, damaged structure searches, and searches around areas where debris have collected. Hundreds of responders are still conducting searches, he said. Graney explained that local entities take information reported to 911, the North Carolina 211 call center, social media reporters, shelter occupancy information, and any information reported to the EOC to attempt to locate anyone that someone has reported missing or that they have asked to have a welfare check conducted. And again, this can get tough because you have some people reportedly who lived in those mountains alone, and there's no one to report necessarily that they're missing. Graney said many of these types of situations were thankfully resolved when communication systems were brought back online and family and friends were able to once again connect. Hurricane Helene hit North Carolina, of course. It brought catastrophic flooding like no one ever thought could be possible in that area. The heavy rainfall caused mudslides, and I don't think people realize the damage that mudslides alone have caused. There was one part in this young man's video that I referenced a minute ago who was up in Chimney Rock, and it showed a Lake Lure police cruiser on the side of the road pushed up against a metal guardrail. Obviously, it had been looked like it had been flipped a time or two maybe. And he said that he talked with the Lake Lure Police Department about that particular car and what the story was, and a female police officer was driving along patrolling when a mudslide pushed her vehicle into that metal guardrail. She's okay. The car is probably a total loss. But you're seeing that all around. Tens of thousands of electricity customers, again, in the region without power in that Asheville area. Some still lack running water. So, again, let me encourage you to continue supporting our efforts in partnership with Salvation Army to get supplies to them, to get water to them, to get the hygiene kits, to get food. Long-term recovery support is going to be needed for months and months to come. So if you can help us, please do so. And that's real simple. Just go to rebuildcarolinas.org, rebuildcarolinas.org. The Salvation Army's been on the ground since the hurricane hit. They've served over 300,000 meals, 170,000 hydration drinks, distributed more than 35,000 shelf-stable meal kits, and they're going to continue working, and with your support, they can do that. Rebuildcarolinas.org. Help bring hope to those affected by Hurricane Helene. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Joey Hudson here. When it comes to fighting for your rights, you need a law firm that never gives up. That's why I want to tell you about the attorneys at McCravey, Newland, Sturkey, and Clardy Law Firm. They specialize in Social Security disability, workers' compensation, and personal injury cases. They've been winning for their clients for over 25 years. And who better to tell you than a satisfied client?
In addition to the major surgery and the subsequent months of physical therapy, I knew that I had to deal with the workers' comp aspect of my case. And I chose the McCravey Law Firm. My consultation with Jason Sturkey was very reassuring. I found that he shares my values. I do believe that we got a fair settlement, and I'm very grateful for his assistance, and I'm pleased with the service that I was given by the McCravey Law Firm, and I highly recommend them.
That's the McCravey Law difference. Dedication, perseverance, and a commitment to getting you the results you deserve. If you need help with your Social Security disability claim or any other legal matter, schedule your free and confidential case evaluation today at McCraveyLaw.com or call 833-245-6565. South Carolina Representative James Clyburn appearing on CNN with Dana Bash over the weekend, saying that he is concerned that black men are going to vote for President Donald Trump in the upcoming election or potentially sit it out entirely. That response came when Dana Bash asked what his concerns are, and of course his comments come just days after former President Barack Obama issued a call to action to black men amid signs that Vice President Harris's level of support among that key demographic voter that the Democrats have long time depended on. Here's James Clyburn.
Here with me now is South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn. Thank you so much for being here. You just heard Donald Trump making his appeal to black men quite explicit. Your friend, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, who you campaigned with in Michigan, says that the message she's hearing from black men is, quote, Democrats take us for granted. Donald Trump talks to us directly. Are you concerned about black men voting for Trump or staying home?
Well, thank you very much for having me. Yes, I am concerned about black men staying home or voting for Trump. But my concerns don't tend to keep me from being energetic about this campaign. Because I was in Michigan campaigning with Debbie last weekend. I thought our swing through Michigan was very, very effective. I met with black men. I met with black religious leaders. I met with black union leaders. And quite frankly, I think we had very frank and direct discussions. And I don't see and feel what I'm reading about in news reports. Yes, black men, like everybody else, want to know exactly what I can expect from Harris administration, and I've been very direct with them. And I've also contrasted that with what they can expect from a Trump administration. We will expect Project 2025 to be a full-blown policy in his administration. And what would that policy be? I described it on the first night of our national convention, and I've been describing it that way ever since. It will be Jim Crow 2.0. Now, you know, I'm the 9th African-American serving Congress from South Carolina. That means there were 8 before me. The problem is there were 95 years between number 8 and number 9. And the policies of that 95 years that kept us out of government, out of this economy, is called Jim Crow. And if you look at Project 2025, it will be Jim Crow 2.0.
Now, earlier on CNN's State of the Union, Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock dismissed concerns that black men are going to vote for Trump, saying it's not going to happen, and he's not concerned about it at all. You know, things are getting a little bit bizarre on the Democrat side of the ticket as well. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer found herself apologizing on social media for a video in which she wore a Harris Walz campaign hat and fed Doritos to a kneeling podcast host in what a lot of critics said was a mockery of a sacred Christian rite. Now, here's what happened. The Democrat governor was seen in a clip taking a Doritos chip out of a bag, placing it on the tongue of a kneeling liberal podcaster, Liz Plank. I didn't recognize who she was, but that's what the reports are telling me, that it was Liz Plank, a liberal podcaster. Before the video panned to the governor wearing a camouflage Harris Walz hat. Now, Whitmer said the video was intended to spotlight the 2022 CHIPS and Science Act that allocated nearly $53 billion towards efforts to bring semiconductor supply chains back to the U.S. Religious leaders, on the other hand, say it is a spoof of the sacrament of Holy Communion. And I got to say, I didn't see anything about CHIPS and science. My first thought was just that it was a mockery of Holy Communion. The Michigan Catholic Conference president and CEO Paul Long said in a statement representing the views of Catholic leaders in the state of Michigan, quote, "It is not just distasteful or strange, it is an all too familiar example of an elected official mocking religious persons and their practices." The video was made as part of a viral TikTok trend where one person feeds another person who's acting sexually with the song Dilemma by Nelly and Kelly Rowland. Again, I'm not familiar with that song either. I know this because I did a little research after seeing the video thinking, what is this about? I mean, it was the most bizarre thing you've ever seen. Why someone did not recognize that this was a bad idea when Gretchen Whitmer was making the video, I'll never know. But you had this music playing in the background before the governor stares uncomfortably into the camera. Former Trump advisor Tim Murtaugh posted, "Let's clear what's happening in this video. Governor Whitmer of Michigan is pretending to give communion to a leftist podcaster on her knees using a Dorito as the Eucharist while wearing a Harris Walz hat. Do they want 0 Catholic votes for Harris?" Well, I tell you, I don't know if maybe they have some internal polling that is saying they're not doing too well among Catholics anyway, and they've just written them off, or if they haven't, they just did that over the weekend with this video. Following the backlash, Governor Whitmer apologized for the video and emphasized that the video was not meant to mock people of faith, she said. Here's what she said in a statement. "Over 25 years of public service, I would never do anything to denigrate someone's faith. I've used my platform to stand up for the people's right to hold and practice their personal religious beliefs." She went on to say, "My team has spoken to the Michigan Catholic Conference. What was supposed to be a video about the importance of the CHIPS Act to Michigan jobs has been construed as something it was never intended to be, and I apologize for that." Wow. Again, who in their right mind was going to understand that this was meant to be something about this CHIPS and Science Act? This video was circulated on social media, which got a national audience. Nobody knew anything about the CHIPS and Science Act. But what did immediately come to mind was this was a mockery of Eucharist, of someone receiving Eucharist. And using a Dorito chip, wow, it's just bad. But this is just an example of how the Democrats are not thinking. I don't know if it's because they're just immune to the feelings of other groups like that, like the Catholics, or if they're in such a state of panic that they're not thinking straight. They're not thinking these things through. They're just reacting because they see this slipping away from them. They see this. They see Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office again behind the Resolute desk, and that just pushes them right over the edge. Hey, another quick reminder that you can help us help people in Western North Carolina, South Carolina who've been affected by Hurricane Helene. Go to rebuildcarolinas.org, rebuildcarolinas.org. 100% of your gift goes directly to disaster relief with the Salvation Army. That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by Mike Gallagher, Bill Frady, Charlie James. We're back again tomorrow at 5 a.m. for your first cup of coffee. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. You know, we have all watched the horrendous video of the devastation caused just over 2 weeks ago now by Hurricane Helene. Some of you may have lost your homes, or you know a family member or a friend who has. People need just basics like water, food, a place to sleep, a hot shower. If you're blessed like me, you just had a few trees down. But you probably feel like you need to be doing something, but you just don't know what to do, right? Some of you have been generous financially, and we need for you to continue to do that. You can go to rebuildcarolinas.org, and 100% of your donation will go to the Salvation Army's Disaster Relief Fund. Others have felt the need to actually do something, to be there, to volunteer, to go to some of the hard-hit areas and give of your time and to help others. Our guest today did just that. John King packed up with some of his friends, loaded his ATV, and headed to Western North Carolina to deliver some meals. He joins us now on our guest line. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Joey?
I am wonderful. I appreciate your time today. So take us through your thought process of when you decided you had to do something, and how did you know to go to Western North Carolina?
Well, some of my friends had some friends up there that they had been in communication with, and they just basically voiced how bad it was up there. I was fortunate enough, like you were, that I just had a couple trees down in my yard, and lost power. I didn't have my whole house taken from me, and so I just, I felt like there was a need to go up there and help out where I could. I'm pretty decent at running a chainsaw and an excavator, and so we just loaded up there and went to see what we could do.
Yep. Now, as I understand it, you took some meals that were prepared in Greenville, right?
Yeah. So I stopped by the Blockhouse on Augusta Road and was talking to my friend Miles, who's one of the managing partners and owners of it. And without hesitation, I mean, he didn't even blink without saying, "Hey, you tell me when you're going, and we'll have over 500 meals for you." I think the total number ended up being 650 meals.
Wow.
Like individually prepped. And they donated all that out of pocket. They and about half the staff stayed all night after their normal shift and prepared the meals for them without compensation. So, anything that if anybody wants a great restaurant and great people to go support, I would definitely say to stop by and show them some support, because they definitely showed their support for Western North Carolina.
Yeah. And that's
so basically what
I was going to say, and that's what's so special about this whole response. You have people like Miles who used his business to try to help people and to donate, and people like you and your friends who had time and you delivered the meals up there. We're seeing people do things that government can't or won't do. Now, talk with us, and with me today, John King, who actually traveled to Western North Carolina and delivered some meals and helped out some people up there. Where exactly in North Carolina did you go?
We went to Spruce Pine. So it's near Asheville, but it's in the upper part of Western North Carolina, kind of on the way towards Burnsville, but not all the way up that way yet.
Yeah.
Burnsville and Spruce Pine definitely, I believe, got impacted, and Asheville. They just got hammered by this storm. The devastation was tough to watch and see.
Yeah. So quickly describe what you did see and what surprised you most.
Just the amount of trees and the amount of debris that was down. I mean, when we think of flash flooding and we think of flooding, this stuff had some power behind it, Joey. I mean, it was taking trees that were 80, 100 feet and sending them, ripping them completely out of the ground and sending them miles downriver.
Yeah.
I have some pictures and videos I'll be glad to share with you if you'd like. But as we're driving into Spruce Pine, it's kind of a valley town, and the water line, you can actually see the water line from where it rose up to. And it was 2 feet and 4 feet above where we were driving on the road,
wow.
Like above the top of the truck.
Yeah.
The roof of the truck. So, I mean, if we had been there when it flooded, there would be, 4 feet of water above the roof of the truck where we were driving.
Sure.
And some roads are just completely gone. Like, it did never look like there was a road there.
Yeah. John King is our guest today, and he and some friends traveled up to Spruce Pine and that western North Carolina region that was hit so hard by Hurricane Helene just 2 weeks ago. Once you got there and some of the first people that you reached, what was their response knowing that you had traveled up and that you had brought prepared meals for them?
They were extremely grateful. You could tell by so the first place that we went is they actually have a if anybody wants to donate, they have a station set up at the Tryon Equestrian Center where they're taking in donations and also handing out donations to the people in need. So we're sitting in line there, and we had a trailer and everything, and we were kind of having to wait for some of the smaller cars in front of us to get out. And so we'd unloaded those 650 meals from Blockhouse, and we were actually sitting in the truck getting to watch the meals go from the table where they put them into people's cars. And this one lady specifically just broke down in tears when they handed her a tray with about 15 meals in it.
Wow.
And to put it in perspective, that's how bad it is. I think we take for granted that we can go down the street to McDonald's or wherever and go get a meal really quick. And she was having to come get meals for her entire family. because there's nothing up there.
Yeah.
It's all gone.
Yeah. Yeah. John King with me today. It had to be hard for you to see some of these things. We have about a minute left here. Does it bother you to know that there's still a lot of people in the mountains of North Carolina in need? And, of course, you stepped up and you made a big contribution, but it had to be a little overwhelming seeing what else needs to be done.
Yeah, in the long run, it's going to be a long-term cleanup. One thing that some of the guys up there stressed to me, and I want to stress to anybody that wants to help, is there's a long road ahead of us. And so, everybody in the next 2 weeks to a month, will be back in their normal routine where these people won't.
Yeah.
They've got 6 months, probably a year of cleanup in some areas. And we can't forget about them. We got to make sure to keep the flame lit and going up there and doing our efforts to help them out.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of a very long journey for them, for sure. John, thank you for your time, and thank you for helping people in Western North Carolina. I suspect you'll probably go back, won't you?
Yes, sir, we will. And anybody who wants to donate to that, I know Blockhouse is going to provide us some more meals in the coming weeks to go up there and go check them out. And I appreciate you for having me on, Joey.
Sure thing. Be safe. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way than encouraging them to listen to Just the Truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. We're back again tomorrow. Hope you will be too. Remember, God's got this. He's still in control.